Hello, everybody. It is Monday, January 16th, 2023, and this is Liz 11 coming at you from Ethereal Energy and Healing Arts, also Ethereal QHHT. Thanks for tuning into my channel. If you like this video and the content, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps me get the word out there. So today I want to just talk about Egypt a little bit and one of the past lives that I experienced in Egypt because I know a lot of people are curious about Egypt. It's in a lot of the history, and it's really a big mystery to all of us. Maybe not you, I don't know, but I feel like it's really been a mystery my entire life. And so I wanted to talk about my past life that came up when I did a session, and basically in this past life I was a necromancer. So I brought people back from the dead and animals back from the dead. And what I got in this past life was that this is a very common practice, and a lot of people know that because of the mummies in Egypt. And what were these pyramids used for exactly? That's a big question that, a lot of archaeologists and historians and all these people that study Egypt, what was their purpose? How did they get built? Were they built by extraterrestrials? Were they actually built by humans? I think not. That's just my opinion. But so in this life, there were a group of people that I had worked with. And also, I want to mention that this magic that I possessed to do this was passed down through like my mother and grandmother and so on. So it was something that in this life that I was born into. I want to mention also that I wasn't actually into doing this for people. I had a lot of hesitation because the people that were being brought back or wanted this done were kings and queens and anybody who was wealthy, who had the money. So, yeah, it was really a practice for people of wealth. And, in that time, I thought it was ridiculous. I thought it was ridiculous that people did that. I didn't agree with it. And one thing that I did do was I had a thing for animals and bringing animals back to life and working with them. So in this life, I wasn't married or anything like that. I did have like some kind of lover, but it was somebody who I wasn't able to be with, like as far as like marrying them or something like that because of what I was doing for, I don't want to say doing for work, but what I was doing, and that wasn't like looked at as like a good thing. Like you don't want to marry a witch basically, or somebody who practices magic. So yeah, what would happen is the process basically worked like this. I would brew some kind of herbs. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know the names of all the herbs. Maybe they don't exist, or maybe I'm just not aware of them in this current life. But I brewed some kind of herbs, and so there would be about seven of us, with myself included, so seven total. And I made some kind of like concoction where I lived before we went and did the process. So I would brew these herbs, just various things. They're telling me that the process for brewing took about 3 days. So I would brew these herbs to bring with me to do the ritual. And the ritual was done inside one of the pyramids. And we would lay the body down, and this herb mixture was poured underneath the body with hot water. And the herbs were also cooked in some kind of water. They're telling me that there was also various oils. There was a lot to it. It was very alchemy. There was different things that had to be done at different times because there was a certain specific recipe to bring people back from the dead. So we would do this ritual, and so they also, where the thing with the mummies comes in is that there was something that they wrapped people in. It wasn't papyrus, it was like some sort of paper, but it was very thin. And so they would put the body in, there would be a ceremony. I was a part of that process. I didn't do like the actual talking in the ceremony, I was just a part of it. And so this would happen in Egypt, and this is what, partially what I know they were using pyramids for, was to perform this specific ritual. So they would put the body in, we would put the body in, and it would be wrapped, and it would go in a sarcophagus, which I don't know if you guys know what that is. I'm sure many of you do. And the body would have to be wrapped in this paper-like substance and put into the sarcophagus for approximately about 3 months. So the whole reason that I really disagreed with this in this life is because I didn't like what would happen after the 3 months was up. And what would happen is that basically most people that had this done, they wouldn't reawaken to the souls that they used to be. They would reawaken to basically being like zombies. So they were able to like move around and, you know, I guess be alive and exist, but there was no actual soul inside the body. So this happened quite a bit, and I feel like this is kind of where, zombies and stuff come in, because these souls would haunt people. Because they didn't have any sense of I'm a person. It's just kind of like this, I don't know, like spirit entity out there, just moving around. And it scared a lot of the people who they would come and actually see their loved ones or lover or whoever it was that was in doing this process, and it would really freak them out, and they wouldn't want anything to do with them after that. So eventually, from what I understand in this life and from what I understand with the process, these people who were put through the necromancy, they ended up kind of moving them away from society, because they couldn't be around society. Like it was kind of like a secret society in a way that they didn't want these people around. So, and they weren't people exactly. They were really just a body, and then, not really a consciousness. So, yeah, so in that life, I did practice a lot of magic, but my magic was, I was healing a lot of animals. So a lot of people who would say, oh, I don't want this lamb, for instance. I had like an infinity with lambs. I would take them in and I would heal them, and I would like leave them with me. And the farmers and people just didn't want them anymore because they saw them as useless. So I'd like to heal a lot of animals in that life. And I had a lot of animals around. I didn't ever get married. I did have somebody I was seeing, but they were they were I don't want to say rich, but kind of a higher class than I was in that life. So we had to kind of sneak around to be together, even after this person did get married to somebody else. But yeah, so I healed a lot of lambs. I really liked lambs and small animals. I kept animals around because in that life I didn't like people. I didn't like the whole process. I didn't like being forced to use magic to try to bring people back to life. And I felt like it was a little ridiculous. So, kind of interesting because, in this life, I'm not a necromancer. I don't bring people back from the dead. I do like animals a lot. I don't run a sanctuary or anything like that. It's definitely something I've thought about. Possibly, in the near future. In the future, I don't know. But I just wanted to kind of talk about my, one of the past lives I had because this is something that can come up for you too in QHHT or any kind of past life regression. I wasn't expecting to ever be a necromancer. It's not something I'm interested in. I'm not interested in bringing things back from the dead. Currently, it's not something I actually have checked into or really ever looked into. So when that came up for me, it was kind of like, okay, wow. I guess I did that, and it's interesting. But one thing I want to bring up is that if you get a session and you're worried about am I going to see a past life? Is a past life going to come up for me? Well, even if you're one of the volunteers and you haven't been to Earth before and you're experiencing all this and you're like, there's no way I have any past lives. The thing is that you do have the imprints. So you can go into one of your imprint lives and you can be an observer. For me, I'm not exactly sure if that was me because I see everything as an observer when I'm in hypnosis. I'm not ever feeling like I'm actually experiencing that inside a body. I'm always looking out from an outside perspective. Even though I do feel like there's a sense yeah, it is me, but I'm not looking down, being okay, I'm wearing this kind of shoes or anything like that. So it could be like that for you too. But, I did always kind of wonder about the mummy thing and where that all came from. And yeah, it's because, in Egypt, there was a lot of magic used, and they like to bring people back from the dead, even though, from my understanding, I mean, I feel like it did work occasionally if it was really done correctly. There had to be a lot of, they're telling me that, it was a moon thing. There had to be, certain things completely aligned, for that to work. And most of the time it didn't because certain things weren't aligned or people like myself, even though we knew how to make the concoction, we knew the ritual, we weren't really exactly trying to. I get the sense that the people that I worked with in this life, they didn't really like doing this either. It was kind of forced on us from, families and kind of politics and just trying to not get killed. And actually in that life did get stabbed because somebody who had sent their lover that had died, it was a woman, I believe, that had died. And we did the ritual, 3 months had went by. This person did not come back as themselves. They came back as that zombie type of being with no soul, and it just wasn't the same person. And that lover had come and killed me inside my home. And I guess when I look at it from that perspective, I don't really blame them. But yeah, I don't think necromancy is really a good way to continue life, and it just never felt right with me, never sat right with me. So yeah, it was just something I want to talk about real quick because I found it kind of interesting, and I had been thinking about my own life and what happened in my past lives. And maybe you have something similar that happened to you in Egypt. Maybe you were a necromancer, maybe you weren't, maybe you were a pharaoh, maybe you were just a commoner. There's just a lot of history there with Egypt. So yeah. What else? So sessions have been good. Lots of people going all kinds of places. It's kind of like you never know where you're going to go in these sessions, and people just go everywhere. They're going in their in between lives. One of my clients, she went back to being a mermaid, and I've also had experience with being a mermaid as well. Definitely in the beginning of like the very start of Atlantis, like in the very, very beginning. I had lived as a mermaid in that life for a little while. One thing she said is she went to like a mermaid wedding, and apparently mermaid weddings are really awesome. I was like, what do you eat? Of course, shrimp. Shrimp, and they drink. I was like, do you drink alcohol? What is it that you drink? And I guess just like various juices. I'm not exactly sure how that works out as a mermaid, but kind of interesting there just to get that perspective of living like that, living in the ocean. We don't really think about living in the ocean, but there are a lot of, I believe there's a lot of beings that do live in the ocean that we just don't know about, because we haven't explored the ocean all the way. And the ocean is, huge. So I think there's a lot going on in the ocean, especially down in the deep ocean that we really don't know about. There could be a whole other, races of beings living down there. Um, there are still mermaids from what I've channeled. The mermaids tend to stay away from humans because of a lot of reasons. They don't want to be caught, they don't want to be used, and they're, a fourth dimensional being, so they do kind of hang out with the inner earth. So they're going there, but they are really staying away from humans. So they do exist, they are around. Many of us have been them, and who knows? I mean, maybe right now I'm living a parallel life, as a mermaid in inner earth. I really don't know. One message I had gotten is that right now, for me personally, I'm living like 10 different lives in different dimensions and different like bodies. So that's pretty interesting. I haven't tuned into all 10 of them, but that's kind of a lot of lives and kind of a lot to juggle. So yeah. What else? What else? So I feel like the energy, there's been a lot of buildup. I feel like there's a lot of manifestation happening. I had a really like 3D moment yesterday. I had to go out and run some errands, and I'm feeling like, I don't know why. I felt kind of like how I did in COVID. I started having like just weird like dizzy spells, and kind of needed to get out of where we had went into, which was just like home goods store and just like really basic things to just get some stuff for the house. And I really hate doing that kind of stuff. And yeah, I really don't recommend it. I feel like stay as far out of the matrix stuff as you can, as much as like possible, because it's just, I don't know what it is, but for me, it's just like the energy at these places, these like shopping centers, and I've talked about the grocery store quite a bit, but it's just there's still a lot of things that are transpiring behind the scenes, a lot of like energetic things that seem okay on the surface, but there's a lot of subliminals and a lot of things happening when you go into these big corporate stores. Um, yeah, and who knows? So definitely something to be aware of when you're out there in the 3D matrix, just trying to, get stuff and just live life. Yeah, so avoid the 3D matrix if you can, as much as possible. Um, One thing they're also wanting me to bring up is, we talk a lot about crystals and their powers and using them, and I have my Super 7s over here today, this video, but I want to bring up copper. A lot of people don't talk about that. It's not something that people, I mean, maybe people do buy it. I don't know. I got this like copper bracelet. It has some magnets in it, and I really like it. And I feel like it it just really works like energetically to keep like my energetic fields good. So if you can, have some copper on you. Fairies like copper. They're really attracted to it. So it's a good metal to have around. Not necessarily like pennies. I know they're made out of copper, but yeah, just having some copper around you is a good idea. And so, what else? I have a few sessions left for the end of January, kind of busy, kind of almost wrapping up the month, even though it's kind of mid month. I hope you guys are doing good. I hope everybody is having a great new year and accomplishing a lot of things. I'm gonna probably be, getting some events together soon. I'm working on some music, so that's always exciting. Yeah, so if you want to book a session with me, you can hop on my website, etherealqhht.com. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Tell me what you think about Egypt. If you had a past life in Egypt, I'd love to hear about it. If you want to do a regression to find out, do I have any past lives in Egypt? I'd love to do that for you as well. So definitely let me know. And again, give this video a thumbs up, send it to your friends. It really helps me get the word out there. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a great week and a great Monday. And I will talk to you soon. I'll be back on next week. Bye. Have a good day.